Hi, and welcome to the holiday edition of the Wrestling Roundtable. And before we get down to our debate, our discussion about the Raw 15th anniversary show, as devout God followers have to pay tribute to the King of Kings, to the God of Gods. So let us bow our heads in prayer to the one and the only Triple H. Our Lord, who art in Connecticut, hallowed be thy name. Thy title reign come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in WWE. Give us this day our daily DX reunion, and forgive us our overness, just as we squash those who might get remotely over unless Daddy says so. And lead us not into temptation, because right now we're made for life. Hey, Steph. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory, forever and ever, and you'll never get rid of me. Amen. Now that that's out of the way.
That was beautiful.
That was beautiful.
Just remember, Jesus is fake, but Triple H is real. And joining us on our panel this week is Brett Simonello, a fan of 22 years. And of course, we've already met Rodney LeConte to my left, which would be your right. Rodney LeConte, a fan of 19 years. And Lawrence Haber to my right, which is, and he's a fan of 21 years. I'm your host, Eric Santamaria, a fan of 19 years. And as fans of all these years combined, we all had to tune in to Monday Night Raw.
Thank God for TiVo.
The 15th anniversary show, which actually should be the 14th anniversary show in 11 months because, it's in January.
January, yeah, it really is.
But
who's counting?
My question
What's
is,
history?
Oh my God.
my question is, how can anyone possibly enjoy this show?
That's the question.
That's my question. Would you care to answer?
Hard news.
I can sum it up in one word. Sonny. Sonny came back after, 10 years?
Just about.
About
And
10 years,
she
yeah.
looked
About 2
gorgeous.
pounds.
I missed it. I missed something.
It's more like 9 and 150, but just about.
Who are you more jealous of than Hornswoggle? When he was just nestled right in the mother of earth, just right in between both of those things. Just happy as I don't like the M word, a little man in big boobs.
M-word being midget?
We don't like that kind of word.
All right, well, the midget was nestled
Little
between
person
those
is the
beautiful
appropriate
tits. And having met Sunny a couple months ago, I can attest that she looks great. I mean, obviously, a few months ago, she did not look so spectacular.
I think the word is train wreck.
Oh, sure. Well, after a seemingly endless tirade of the usual bunch of boring crap we've seen before, it led into our first match about, 25 minutes into the show. The opener was Jeff Hardy and Carlito in the ladder match. I see you enjoyed that match.
I'm glad Carlito decided to stay. He's
Why?
one of my favorite guys. He's a prick, he's a jerk-off, he's young, he's got moves when he wants to use them. He's cool, man. He's cool.
I thought the ladder match was okay. It was certainly better than their Money in the Bank match this year at WrestleMania, but definitely not the best ladder match of the year. But
Or
that's
in the past few years.
It was a good match for Raw.
not really. If you use the standard of Raw's past, not really. But heck, they haven't been doing that in a while anyway. But it just seemed like a non-stop rerun of the exact same segment. So-and-so would come out and talk, so-and-so would interrupt them, and so-and-so would beat them up.
That's basically what their standard formula was, to have one of their present guys and have someone from the past who, I guess, back in the day could have been a good feud, and have them, beat them up to a certain extent, and to show, we still, praise this guy, here he is.
It was 3 hours of contrived Raw moments. It was like taking Jericho's re-debut and just cramming 15 small versions of that and doing it in 3 hours.
See,
Only with Hogan
with the roster that they had that night,
Hogan.
they could have made Raw moment after Raw moment after Raw moment. If they were smart, if they did it right. Like, remember when Hogan was in the ring, and we were like, what if Austin's music played right now? That would have been a Raw moment. That would have been doing the right thing. But you know what? They just took baby steps with it. They really just gave you
Baby
so
steps,
much.
they were the same steps. I mean, how many times are we gonna, it's like Laurel and Hardy coming out, Martin and Lewis doing their routine, Abbott and Costello, it's now Austin McMahon, he's gonna stun them.
Not for nothing,
That was-
whole
Who's
show
on first?
was supposed to be nostalgia. That whole show was
Bastion Booger and Bart Gunn?
that was for their own amusement.
Obviously.
That would have enough of
them.
them doing stuff for their own amusement.
That was all for them just to say that.
So was Orton
they
Style
remember
Reign.
That was awful. But Hogan coming out doing the pose for
I mean,
God knows
obviously
how
the
long.
Hogan moment.
Well,
They love that. Austin doing the
unfortunately.
stunner. People want to see that. It just things you have to have. What's the most
Why do you
exciting?
have to
What's the
have
most
Why does
exciting
there have to
part
be
of
nostalgia?
wrestling? The most exciting part of wrestling is when unannounced entrance music goes off.
Sure, if it was Macho Man, because that's never happened, but Austin comes back like 3 times a year.
Before McMahon in the
I
last
think
segment.
everybody knew. You could have started watching wrestling a year ago, and you would have known that Austin would have came out at the end and stunned McMahon.
Oh,
I agree. There's no
it
shock
was
value.
yeah.
There's been no shock value since WCW folded. There's
You
been
think
no shock value at all.
But they've
expected
tried
it, though.
HLA and McMahon getting killed since WCW folded. You don't think that's shock value?
I'm not gonna lie.
Katie Vick?
I knew
Katie
McMahon wasn't dead, but I was not gonna be happy until I actually saw him again.
Why?
Cause when I watch wrestling, I revert to a child state. All these,
Just like the writers.
right. You have to. It's a television show. You can't take it for boxing or baseball baseball. Or you can't take it as a sport. You can't take it as this should have happened.
Of course,
or
I know
this
you're
would
saying you
happened.
have to take it as entertainment, yeah.
Yeah.
But you know what? You eat their crap so much, you're just gonna get tired of eating the same crap.
But that's
every
entertaining
week.
because they tell us it's entertaining. You should be entertained because Bastion Booger's fat and the writer guy wears a thong. Like I could watch like any stupid show,
Yeah, you know what,
any stupid bad comedy, any bad sitcom and get that entertainment. I don't want to see like.
New stuff.
Well, no, I want to
Yes.
see new stuff, but like if they're gonna have Hogan come out, that was like the worst of the 4 or 5 Hogan returns that they've done. That was horrible. He looked like shit.
I tuned in to see Hogan.
Yeah, me
I did
too.
not tune in to see Hogan pose with a midget.
And I understand McMahon and Austin.
And
like,
at least
I understand the nostalgia.
Like, come on, if you're gonna do him and Khali.
Well, they're
do
trying to
all
set it up for WrestleMania.
If they go through with it.
Well, but that's
Yeah,
like
hopefully they will.
that's like when they set up Austin McMahon at Homecoming and they didn't do it. You know, they
Austin
do
Hogan.
stuff.
Austin Hogan.
Yeah, but look, there's a fat guy in a thong. You know, yeah,
That's
okay, we
old,
know.
it's old, it's old, it's old.
It's always fart jokes, fat jokes, tits,
Gay
and
jokes.
no wrestling in Austin at
And
the
a
end.
DX
It's been
reunion.
like that since '90.
Yeah, it really- I
had
agree
enough.
to the point where it's-
Nostalgia show or not, I've had enough of that. That be my wrestling.
All I'm gonna say is that the most over guy on the show is a midget.
Who is damn
Little
entertaining.
And on that note, we're going to go to our first break. We're going to talk more about the show we were supposed to enjoy, according to Mick Foley, when we get back.
I enjoyed
Bang,
it.
bang. Welcome back to the Wrestling Roundtable. We were talking about the Raw 15th anniversary show, and as I mentioned as we were going to our break, a few days before in a publicity appearance interview or something, Mick Foley said that if you don't enjoy this show, then something's wrong with you or you weren't ever going to enjoy it. And I could not disagree more.
That ass right in front of him.
Well,
I've been accused of being the most disenfranchised wrestling fan around. I don't enjoy anything. Not true at all. I enjoy a lot of stuff. They're just not doing it.
well, Mick Foley himself has said that he's a whore. He will
Which
do
he is.
anything for a paycheck.
Well, look what he did on
I don't blame
the
him.
show.
What did he do? Was he there for 3 seconds? He legitimately bothered me.
And
he
you know
meant that when he said it, probably.
Of
He probably
course.
believes that. You know.
Oh,
You know why? Because he's got, 3 little kids at home? They probably love the friggin' thing.
Well, they don't know any better.
Dude.
Whereas us,
Dude.
we've been watching since January 11th, 93, before that with Primetime. So we followed this whole saga, and I wrote an essay a few years ago that they really need to change everything. Not just the booking, not just the wrestling,
the
down to the
visual,
jam,
the
visuals, the
audio,
format of everything.
the
And
music.
since the Attitude Era,
Nothing.
It's
Nothing
the
has
same
changed.
damn thing.
Steve, turn the Titantron like
oh,
that.
it's a parallelogram now.
And instead of we have wow, it just,
Yeah, I mean, just a theme song. It's almost as if we're in the,
It's like
the
politicians.
pop era of wrestling, you know, just in theme
Instead
song.
of the, it's like politicians. Instead of the president's hair being combed this way, it's this way, but it's still the same.
Well, I really
Yeah.
think that because the Attitude Era, Austin Rock, Triple H, from 98
Which
to
you'll
about
never get again.
2001, they looked at that as, well, we were the most successful we've ever been.
Copy.
They're trying to hold on to that.
paste.
like
But
it's
you'll never
that.
get it again. You gotta move on.
20-minute opening segment, setting up main event.
Austin
Running into main
Starr.
event. Set up. It's Jeff Hardy pins the champion, setting up that he's going to lose. I mean, I know wrestling's booked that way forever, but we know that like Jeff Hardy's not winning at the pay-per-view because
Yeah.
Booker T
But-
also pinned Triple H. And no, I'm
But
talking
then-
about the against Orton for the title. And we also know that they're trying to set up WrestleMania where we know Orton's going to have the belt. It's just we can
Are
see
you
it.
saying that Jeff Hardy might have a chance of beating Orton at the
Not
I don't
a
think
chance.
so. Not a chance.
But-
But you know what? As a wrestling fan,
I would
it's
like to
sad.
be
I mean,
like
it
that.
really is sad that you can predict almost everything because you watch TV, so you can't predict. Yeah, that's the whole fun of being
I didn't think Edge
entertained.
was gonna win at the pay-per-view.
Oh, come on, no offense.
I didn't think Edge was gonna win.
You know they're setting up WrestleMania now. Right after Survivor Series, they go right into mode, put the
Yeah, but
belts on
even
the
if you
heels.
didn't know, like, were you really surprised? You're like, oh my God, Edge won.
No, so we were at Hooters, no reaction, everybody got up and left. It wasn't like, yeah, Edge won. Well, one guy who likes Edge because apparently people
Well, I
think
would have
he's
been
good.
surprised if Jericho won the belt. That would
Yeah,
have surprised me.
because you know what's
that
going to
was-
happen.
Exactly.
You
But
would-
you know
you-
what? They're not willing to take those risks anymore. That's
You would have been surprised because you know it's something that they don't do in their glass bubble.
in the bubble.
What I don't like about their glass bubble is it's too contrived.
It's
I'll give you an
repetitive.
example.
Sure.
Jillian Hall comes out,
I hate her.
and Trish comes out, Lita comes out.
Love
Trish
Trish.
Now-
is fucking all.
Trish and Lita
great.
are face to face. They're gonna fight,
She looked
and then they team up on Jillian Hall, and then they break kayfabe pretty much, and they're all hugs and kisses, and we're happy now.
Which is okay because it's a nostalgia show.
But it
Yeah.
doesn't make fucking sense.
Doesn't have to.
A second ago, they were gonna go at each other's throats.
I don't think that's the best example of their formula thing. I think a better example is
Was Bischoff coming out
Yeah.
talking, and then Jericho put him in the walls.
But Eric's right about one thing. They break their own kayfabe way too often with stuff like that. You know, like Triple H and Austin, and like when people were bitching that Punk was drinking a beer at the end of the
It
show.
wasn't. It was
Yeah,
the
the
soda.
point-
It was the soda.
But you know what? There should be somebody that says, look, we don't want people to notice that.
Casual wrestling fans don't have a memory.
Yeah,
They
that's
proved
just
it.
bad. But that's
No, but
because
their
they program
memory
people.
might be from 99 to
I
98
disagree
on.
with that.
We don't want
I
a
disagree
memory.
with that.
Jericho
I
coming
don't
back.
want a memory.
Eric mentioned that when
They
Jericho
want
come back,
memory.
he was fired from Raw. And they didn't really explain how he was unfired because they don't explain anything anymore.
Yeah, but they let that slip under the radar by choice. Well, not by
If they
choice.
even remembered.
Maybe they didn't care.
Yeah,
But I
they
don't
remembered.
think wrestling fans have a short memory.
I don't think
for,
so. Look,
For instance,
Go ahead.
if Macho Man's music hit, you
Oh.
don't think he would get the biggest pop of the
I think
fucking-
casual,
yeah,
real
yeah.
That's
fans
not what I'm
always
talking
did.
about. I'm talking about explaining things.
Like, how come Austin and Triple H never? How come they didn't reunite the two-man power trip?
Yeah, that's
Did
like
they
what
reunite-
happened
you
with
ever heard
Triple
John
H
around
and
Family
Family
Matters.
How many times is Triple H going to turn on Shawn Michaels before
I'm
we
surprised she wasn't in the Battle Royal too. But really, that last segment, like, what was it? Armageddon 2000, when they had the six-way Hell in a Cell.
Don't make me
Yeah.
remember
Where
these
Rikishi
shows.
fell off the Bella.
Right.
Into the Bella Hay.
Wasn't it the Raw before that where they did the exact same guys
Oh my
beating
God.
on McMahon in a row, Undertaker came
Yeah,
choke slam,
yeah.
Austin,
Finisher.
And then The Rock, and then Austin.
How many
yeah.
times?
Can we talk about the finisher thing? It's
Sure.
maybe a little off topic, but
It is.
We always talk about like how people think that the matches are good when they do that finisher sequence that they've been doing for like 10 years. Guy does the guy's finisher, kicks out, guy does the other guy's finisher, they go back and forth. That's another thing, formula, that they don't have to do that to make a good match. Just like when they reintroduced submissions to the main event. They didn't have to do that, they chose to do it, the fans accepted it, and there you go.
Well, speaking of matches and how they were put together in shows, real quickly, we all saw Armageddon. There weren't too many matches, but what do you think about the pay-per-view? Following up the Raw 15th anniversary. I think it's really fucking stupid to have that big of a show the Monday before and then
Yeah.
expect us to pay for something else when they all would have paid for that.
Yeah,
Raw was
true.
bigger than the pay-per-view.
Right.
I just like the fact that they put Jeff Hardy over Triple H, ruined it by smiling.
Oh, Triple H is my hero. He completely
No,
ruined it
sold
with
it.
one facial
Yeah,
expression.
he did it on purpose because Jeff
Of course he
Hardy-
did.
Jeff
It's
Hardy
like-
was half-assed the whole match.
Goldberg beats Hogan. Hogan gets up and goes,
It's also two faces going up against each other, and he knows that he lost to the underdog, so I guess he would have
yeah,
to
but he's
almost smile.
Triple
That's
H.
like-
Everybody
doesn't
knows that
matter.
it doesn't happen.
That's,
here.
that's like 1, 2, 3 kid pinning
That's the
Hogan
logic.
in a
That's the
roll-up.
exception that proves the rule. That's the logic that they use to explain why he smiles.
If he beat him with the swanton, it would have been different, but he beat
Of
him
course
with
it
the
would.
roll-up. So it's
So he didn't really put him over too much.
Like Shelton.
Yeah.
He got lucky.
exactly he
Yeah,
got lucky.
big difference.
What
Sean
about
Benjamin, what the fuck did they do with that guy?
what
Well,
about
that could be a whole nother show.
Every week
That boy.
he gets
every
in.
week we mention how he's fucked up.
Hey,
But,
no, stop it, breathe.
speaking of
Except
which,
everything.
how about Jericho's reaction or lack thereof?
I think he got a pretty big reaction
Show
when
me
people
watching.
thought that he would win the belt
Anybody would have got that reaction.
Yeah.
In the match?
during the match.
Well, I'm talking about when he came out. There were like 3
Dead.
people clapping.
Yeah,
know
Batista
what?
got a big reaction.
Because his re-debut was nowhere near his first debut. People were expecting Jericho, Rock, that sick, never forget that moment. That didn't happen.
I don't know, me personally, I
find a
just
jobber?
come back.
Yeah,
What the
yeah.
fuck was that?
They showed him before he debuted, which a lot of people are ripping on. It. You know what? I believe that it was cool at the time, but I was wrong. You can't do that. You
No.
can't show the guy and then expect the arena to.
Yeah, I didn't like that. I
You can't
hated
do that.
I
It's
hated
like
that.
when they brought the NWO back and they showed him like before.
On
the
Heat.
Heat.
On Heat.
I was like, everybody just wants to hear the and see them come out and freak out.
And it was like a Raw. Since when the pay-per-views open with a promo?
Everything is Raw. Indies are Raw now. Everybody does Raw. There's no more wrestling. It's everybody does Monday Night Raw, and how they do it is the standard. And that's not a good thing.
It trickles
It's not.
down.
It's not a good thing.
They see, you know, what the mothership of wrestling is doing,
ROH
and they
does
try to
Raw.
copy it, right? Maybe they say, well, we're not Raw, we have 2 entrances. We're not Raw, we have you know, 6 segments.
yeah.
Don't get me started on that.
God, I was in ROH show and started with like
Six-sided
a
ring.
10-minute promo setting up the main event. I'm like, what?
Well, we're not Raw, and there is one thing I'm going to say before we go to our break. Jericho, if you're going to rip off a Naomichi Marufuji move, can't you pick a better one? I mean, in the first
That knee
place.
thing?
Yeah.
Fuck that knee thing.
Yeah, fuck that knee thing.
Fuck that.
Fuck
But
that knee
stay
thing.
tuned. We're going to be back with more Wrestling Roundtable
Anything.
when we come back.